presented by Exquisite Timepieces. More about them in the description down below and later in the video. What's up everyone, I'm Guy, and today we're checking out another green-dialed watch. Now if you saw my last video, you might remember that I said I was going to do a few reviews on different green dial options over the coming week. Well, today is number 2, and it's the Ball Engineer M Pioneer. Ball is a watch brand that never really hit home with me. Don't get me wrong, I do think that they make nice watches with great quality, but in terms of their designs, I just never connected with them. I've done a few videos on watches from the brand in the past, things like the Engineer Hydrocarbon, for example, and yeah, a really great watch and a good value amongst its luxury watch competition, but it's just not my style. Then I stumbled onto this one. I was over at Exquisite Timepieces looking for some green dial watches to do a series of videos on, and this one just jumped out of the watch case to me. Between the watch dial and the size and scale of the watch case and the bracelet, these are exactly the types of watches that I love. Watches that make for excellent everyday wear on the wrist. But I am getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's talk about the features and the specifications of this model. But first, a quick thanks to my video sponsor for loaning me this watch for the video. This video is presented in partnership with Exquisite Timepieces, located in Naples, Florida. Exquisite is an authorized dealer of dozens of watch brands, including Seiko and Grand Seiko, Omega, Oris, Blancpain, Breguet, and many more. Exquisite also has an amazing selection of pre-owned watches with new inventory coming in daily. So if you're looking for your next watch, check their website, exquisitettimepieces.com, or call their store at 239-227-2932, and let them know that you heard about them from Guy in the Just Bluefish channel. I can't recommend them enough. This is, as I mentioned, the Ball Engineer M Pioneer. It is limited to 1,000 pieces, and it has a retail price of $3,699. And being in the Engineer M family of watches, it has the Ball manufacturer in-house chronometer caliber RRM 3709-CS movement. Now, I think that's a pretty fair price for a watch with an in-house movement in its own right, not even accounting for any of the other features that Ball watches are known for. And most notably, what I'm talking about is the glow-in-the-dark micro gas tubes that illuminate the watch face. Most watch brands use phosphorescent paint to illuminate their dials and their handsets. Of course, you already know this. Things like Lumibrite or Superluminova. But off the top of my head, few if any brands do what Ball does. The 51 micro gas tubes that make up the Arabic numerals and the handset on this watch face contain a tritium gas that glows in the dark as much as 100 times brighter, is what they say, than typical luminescent paint. And of course, unlike lume paint, the gas tubes don't require an initial charge from a light source to get its glow. So if you're the type of person who insists on the best low-light legibility of your watch face, few if anyone does it better than Ball. As for the size and scale of the watch, I think it's nearly perfect. At 40 millimeters in diameter with a thickness of just under 13 millimeters, the watch is of a contemporary size. That is maybe just a hair larger than I might prefer, but I think for most people it is just about perfect. That said, what I really like about this watch is that it has a lug-to-lug length of just 46.5 millimeters, which makes the watch very wearable even on my 6.5-inch wrist, despite the 40 millimeter dimension being slightly larger than what I typically like. And the watch dimensions are rounded out with a 20 millimeter width between the lugs where the bracelet attaches to the watch case. The case and the bracelet are actually in 904L stainless steel, and they have a mix of brushed and polished surfaces. And the fit and finish of the metal components, they're quite nice, and I think the quality of construction punches well above its weight class. Rounding out the specs for this watch, we have a signed screw-down crown, 100 meters of water resistance, an anti-reflective sapphire crystal, and a date complication with a Cyclops magnifier. And I know the date magnifier is going to be a point of contention for some people, maybe even a lot of people. But being a Rolex Submariner date owner myself, I have to say that I have come to appreciate the Cyclops magnifier on watches, and I think that the added readability far outweighs any perceived design inconsistencies that, of course, some people do complain about. That said, your mileage will vary on this one, of course. Like I said, I know some people won't like it, but I have to say that I am a fan and I do like it. Let's quickly touch on that in-house movement. It's visible through the display case back window on the rear of the watch, and it is a chronometer-certified movement with an accuracy range that is actually 30% better than COSC, coming in at -2 to +5 seconds per day, and it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and it has an 80-hour power reserve. The watch is anti-magnetic to 2500 Gauss, thanks to a silicon balance spring, and it features what Ball describes as enhanced shock resistance. Now, it's not a bad-looking movement either, by any means, but of course it's not the most highly decorated movement, but considering the roughly $3,500 price tag, I am more than impressed with the accuracy, the power reserve, and the durability, and I find those aspects of a watch to be wildly more important than decoration. The dial and the handset, they're quite nice. This is the limited edition green dial, and it has a really handsome green sunburst effect with a slight gradation from lighter to darker shades of green. This is honestly one of my favorite green dials that I've ever come across, and a little thing that makes it pop is that yellow chronometer text down at the 6 o'clock side of the dial. We also have an intricate and highly graduated printed seconds track with markers at every 5-second interval. And I don't know what it is about this kind of design, but something about it just gets me. One of my all-time favorites, the Hamilton Khaki Field Auto, has a similar seconds track, and I gotta say I just love the look of it. It also kind of reminds me a bit of the Omega Speedmaster in the same way as well. Something about it just makes it look that much more like a tool watch. And yeah, I'm a big fan of this design. Next, we have the tritium-filled Arabic hour markers, which I've already discussed. They are really nicely implemented and one of the hallmark designs of Ball watches. Then we have a 24-hour scale just inside those main hour markers. And again, it's very similar to my Hamilton watch and of designs from military field watches of the past. I gotta say, I just love the look. Finally, we have the printed Ball branding on the watch dial, along with the official railroad standard designation at the top and the aforementioned chronometer inscription at the bottom of the dial. The handset is in a stick style with a faceted bevel running down the center and inlaid with tritium gas tubes like the numerals on the dial. I really like this handset design. It kind of has a bit of a Rolex Datejust vibe to me, which personally I think is great. Now, I've been quite complimentary of this watch so far, but there are a couple of things that I don't love about it. From a superficial design perspective, I'm not a fan of the overly embellished RR logo on the counterbalance of the seconds hand. And yeah, I know it's a Ball brand logo, and it's just what they do with their watches. But I could live without it if I'm being honest. For my tastes, it's just a bit too much. A simple circular lollipop counterbalance would be a lot cleaner and much more understated, and that's what I would personally like. Secondly, I'm not a huge fan of the bracelet for a couple of reasons. First, the overall design of the link system. It's nice and it's high quality, yes, but it's kind of chunky. And then there's the alternating polished and brushed surfaces, which I don't prefer either. A fully brushed bracelet would have been more along the lines of what I would have personally liked to have seen. Now, both of these issues, they are subjective opinions based on personal taste. I get that, and they're not exactly deal breakers either. I think that what you're getting for the money with this watch far outweighs any negatives. And frankly, for most people, the things that I find to be negatives might not be negative at all. Like I said, they're very clearly subjective complaints. The watch is otherwise super high quality, and I think the price relative to other similar quality watches is absolutely outstanding. And overall, this is my favorite watch from the Ball watch brand, at least that I've seen so far. And honestly, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that this is one of my favorite watches of 2021 as well. Well, that'll do it for this one, guys. Thanks for tuning in and watching. I hope you enjoyed checking out this Ball watch with me. Now, I also have to thank my video sponsor, Exquisite Timepieces, for loaning this watch in for the review. I greatly appreciate it, and I greatly appreciate them. If you guys are interested in this watch or any watch from more than the 50 brands that they're authorized dealers of, I highly encourage you to check out their website, exquisitettimepieces.com, or give them a call directly. Just let them know that you heard about them from me, Guy, and the Just Bluefish Watch Reviews channel. I would greatly appreciate that. Well, thanks again, and until the next one, bye now.